Hello, I'm Sonia West. This is a special segment with Member of Parliament John Aldag, Cloverdale, Langley City. John has been serving this community since 2015 as our voice in Ottawa. John Aldag has a special announcement for us all. We interviewed him at Sendell Gardens in Langley. Let's take you to that interview now. We are here in beautiful Langley with MP John Aldag for Cloverdale, Langley City. It is always a pleasure to see you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for coming out to Langley City and Sendell Gardens. It's a wonderful spot.
It is so beautiful. It's such a beautiful day. And like I said, it's always nice to talk to you. And today we're talking to each other because you've got a very exciting announcement.
I do, yes. And thanks for coming. So,
okay.
I sent you a release that we're sharing with the public today.
Yep.
I'm going to be offering my resignation as Member of Parliament for Cloverdale, Langley City, effective end of day, May 27th. And so that's the big news. It's a decision that hasn't been taken lightly. I've pondered long and hard over it.
Yeah.
This is such an immense privilege to serve in Parliament, and a decision not taken lightly, but it feels like the right time to make the change.
You've been our voice in Ottawa for 7 years.
Yes.
That's a long time.
and it spans over a decade. I had to start my pursuit of the seat back in about 2013, a couple of years before the first federal election that I ran in 2015.
Right.
As you probably remember, I was with Parks Canada for over 30 years.
That's right.
And had never really thought about running for office, but things aligned, and I felt the need to in 2015.
Yeah.
I was working for the Federal Public Service, and so I had to take almost 2 years off. And so 2013, over a decade now, this has been the business, and successfully elected twice now, almost 7 years in Ottawa as the representative for Cloverdale, Langley City.
Well, thank you for the 7 years. We're going to be sad that you're actually moving on to something else, but we're happy to know that this isn't the end of our interviews. I mean, you're always such, it's the thing about being a political figure is you have to be likable. And one thing I really like about you is you're genuine. It's a learn. Some politicians can learn it and then deliver, their speeches or whatever they're doing, and people are like, "Oh, that's wonderful." But when you speak, I never see you holding papers. You're just speaking from the heart. You know your material because it's from the heart.
Yeah, well, I try, and to me that's a huge compliment, so thank you. I will say that I do hear that from time to time. I recently had a ride to the airport to Vancouver to go to Ottawa. And the driver, he found out what I did as we talked on the course of the trip. And at the end, he said, "You're so genuine. I wouldn't expect you to be a politician."
Yes.
and so it was lovely. And I take that as a high compliment. So thank you.
It is true. So how did you make this decision, John? Because this is your community. This is how, we feel. I know nobody else other than you in this area. Like, that's all I know. What was the catalyst behind this decision?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that brought me to this point. And first, we've spoken about this. I lost my father just before Easter.
Once again, I offer my condolences.
Thank you. Yeah, and I appreciate it. And the community was really kind in their outreach with condolences and support.
Yeah.
But it made me realize life is short. And over the last decade, there's a lot of events that I've missed with my family, birthdays and school field trips and things like that. Yeah. Now, my kids are all grown, but my wife is at home with our dogs, aging dogs, and cats, and she works full time, as you know, at Surrey Memorial Hospital.
Yes, that's right.
So it's time to get a bit closer to home to give support to her.
Yeah.
But there's also other things that I'm looking at, and one of them is I'm going to be pursuing the nomination for the BC NDP. And looking at hopefully running with them in the fall election.
Wonderful.
And so that's the second part of the news. Now, there's no guarantees there. There's never any guarantees in this business. But over the last decade, as I've been out door knocking, and I've talked to people about this quite openly. I think people know that in those 2 years before I was elected, I was off work, and so went door knocking and covered over 35,000 doors in that 2-year period.
Wow!
Got a sense of what the issues were, and a lot of the things that we talk about on people's doorsteps are actually under provincial jurisdiction. It's things like healthcare, it's like education, it's roads and traffic and things like that. And so I feel that I've been very effective representing the constituents of Cloverdale, Langley City in Ottawa.
Right.
But I also feel that I may be able to do other things that are more at the provincial level of responsibility.
You've identified the needs of what you can do on the provincial level. So this is perfect for you. You've done your research.
Absolutely. And I'm very excited about Premier Eby and his team and the things that they've done.
Yeah.
It's been a challenging few years. And I'm really proud of what our government did federally.
Yeah.
But I also, we've had great partners with the BC NDP here
Right.
in British Columbia.
Yeah.
And so, I've had colleagues there that reached out. They're the ones that actually said, hey, why don't you consider coming and joining us?
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a long process. I have to go through a nomination process, and that will be starting the day after I resign. And
No rest
it'll be
for you.
a nomination
Right
meeting
away.
at some point in June or early July. And if I'm successful, then it'll be campaigning for the summer and into the fall. And but again, getting to understand the needs of and hopes and wishes for the people in the new riding of Langley Abbotsford, and that's where I'm going to be pursuing the nomination there.
Yeah. You've obviously done your research with the door knocking in the Cloverdale Langley area.
Yes.
What about that Aldergrove kind of spot there, that area? Have you talked to the residents there?
I've started having those discussions, absolutely. And you and I were talking just before we sat down in this beautiful spot about housing costs, and even as we get further into the Fraser Valley, as we get into Aldergrove and Abbotsford, things are expensive, and families are struggling.
Yeah.
And that's something we've heard about federally, and I think our federal government's taken a lot of steps to try to help families, as has the provincial government. But I think that we're not over the hurdle. We still have high interest rates. We still have challenges for families that are trying to buy houses, raise their kids, save a bit of money for retirement, and just live their lives. And so, that affordability piece is really critical.
Right.
But this new riding, it's a bit more rural than Cloverdale Langley City.
Yeah.
Definitely some more urban spots, definitely.
Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to having discussions with the farmers and the growers, those who live on acreages and such, because that's a slightly different challenge to what we see in some of the cities and more densely populated areas.
That's right. They're going to need probably hospitals and playgrounds and schools and such.
Yes,
I would imagine you'll have to do your work for that.
And one of the big issues that I'm hearing about is the need for truck parking. As we know, there are so many truck drivers that live south of the Fraser that are the ones that are hauling goods all around. They're what really makes our economy move.
Right.
And yet there's such a shortage for truck parking spaces. And so this is something that I'm very interested in having discussions with the township of Langley, as well as the city of Abbotsford.
Yes.
And see, there are rules about agricultural land reserve and what can and can't be. But there's hundreds of trucks that don't have anywhere to park, and these are huge investments.
Right.
And so that's something I'm really, really interested in taking a run at, should I be successful, and seeing what we can find for a long-term solution for truck parking is one example.
Yeah, and also the land mass, that area that's not populated yet, it's actually the perfect place to get more parking for trucks. So you'll have to definitely make room for that, because you're saying it's a lot of farmland out there.
Yes,
a different demographic of people that's living out there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so that's one of the issues. We all, if you listen to the traffic reports, there's always highway problems around the Aldergrove area.
Oh, yeah.
And so, looking at working on continuing to see expansion of the highway system. There's work happening right now. Glover Road, we're going to be announcing the completion of that project in the coming days.
Okay.
But there are more overpasses that get struck along that corridor, and just the congestion that we see. So investing in the infrastructure, helping move goods and people more efficiently is again something that's important. You touched on hospitals. Langley, my wife has worked at Langley Memorial as well.
Yeah.
A huge need for increased medical capacity in the Fraser Valley as we see our population grow. Langley's been very fortunate. I believe that it's 5 new schools and expansions to 3 additional schools.
Yeah.
But that's only meeting the current population, not future growth needs. So again, looking at those kind of investments, I think I could be a very strong voice for those types of issues. Should I be successsul provincially?
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a very smooth transition. It sounds like you just slide right into that role. So I really wish you good luck on that.
Thank you. But it is work, and as I said, you can't take anything for credit. So I look forward to having discussions leading up to the nomination and perhaps beyond, and seeing what we can do. But in the meantime, it means I'm going to be closer to home for the summer.
Wonderful.
And so it's just, like I say, it feels right. It's the right time.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm up to.
Well, thank you for doing all the hard work you've done for us in the past decade. And we wish you the best of luck in your future journey here. But I'm really happy that you're doing a work-life balance for yourself because you've been away a lot. So
Yes.
welcome home.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it and look
Of
forward to
course.
remaining in contact with you.
Thank you so much. Did you want to give our viewers one last comment, if you will?
Well, absolutely. I'd just like to thank everybody for the support that I've been given over the last decade. I've had constituents who obviously have come out and voted for me. I've had volunteers and donors that are all part of what it takes. So just from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for the honor, the privilege of serving the residents of Cloverdale, Langley City since 2015 and then again in 2021. And I wish all the best for everybody.
Thank you so much, John.
Okay.
We wish John Aldag all the best in his pursuit of being elected into the NDP at the provincial level. Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Sonia West. We'll see you again next time.